Have you ever heard of the village that never dies? Deep in the mountains of northern Alderwick, travelers often speak of a strange, persistent fog. It clings to one particular valley, no matter the season, no matter how hard the wind blows. They say that hidden inside that valley is Eldenmere, a small stone village that the maps refuse to show. Those few who claim to have found it and made it back all describe it the same way. Quiet, too quiet. The people look healthy, they say, but not alive. And everyone smiles the same empty smile. Most travelers who find Eldenmere never return, but one man did. His name was Caleb Rowan, and he swore he saw something monstrous lurking behind those perfect, unnerving smiles. This is the story he told just before he disappeared forever. Caleb was a photographer, always searching for abandoned, forgotten places. Eldenmere wasn't abandoned, but it wasn't normal either. He walked into the village just before dusk, watching as fog slithered across the cobblestones like a living mist. Every house was identical: pale stone walls, dark wooden doors, and windows with curtains that were always drawn. As he passed, a woman sweeping her steps looked up. Her face was smooth, too smooth, like it was carved from wax. Her smile was polite, but her eyes didn't blink. "Welcome to Eldenmere," she said, her voice eerily cheerful. "We rarely get visitors. Please stay the night." A chill went down Caleb's spine. No one should be that cheerful in a place that felt more like a graveyard than a home. "I'm just passing through," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Her smile widened, stretching just a little too far. No one ever just passes through. The fog grew dangerously thick, forcing Caleb to take a room at the local inn. The innkeeper looked to be in his 50s, but his hands told a different story. They were the hands of a young man, smooth, unwrinkled, completely untouched by time or work. Caleb pretended not to notice. He tried to make small talk, asking, "Do you have a family?" The innkeeper nodded. "Of course. We all have families here." "Children?" Caleb pressed. For the first time, the innkeeper's smile faltered. "There are no children in Eldenmere." "Why not?" Caleb asked. The man's gaze became distant. "We do not require them." Caleb didn't sleep that night. He could hear footsteps just outside his door, slow, dragging, deliberate steps, as if someone were checking on every guest in every room. At exactly midnight, the footsteps stopped right outside his door. Then, a chilling whisper slithered through the wood. "Do not leave." The next morning, Caleb grabbed his camera and began to wander the village, desperate for answers. He soon realized he was being watched. From every window, from every doorstep, the villagers stared, their bodies perfectly still, their faces locked in those same blank smiles. Suddenly, an old man hunched over and trembling grabbed Caleb's wrist, pulling him into a dark alley. "Get out," the old man whispered, his voice strained and cracking. "You are not safe here." "But why? What's happening?" Caleb asked, his heart pounding. The old man's eyes darted frantically toward the street. "They don't age," he rasped. "None of them. Not since the night the fog came." "What fog?" Caleb pressed. The old man's hands were shaking violently now. "The fog that brought the keeper. We traded death for eternity. But we didn't understand the price." Caleb leaned closer, his own voice a whisper. "What did you trade?" The old man swallowed hard, his face a mask of pure terror. "We traded our souls. One by one. Before Caleb could ask another question, the old man's body went rigid. His eyes went blank, the fear vanishing, replaced by that familiar, artificial smile. He turned and walked away, as if their conversation had never even happened. It was then that Caleb understood. Something in this village could control people. That night, under the cover of darkness, Caleb snuck out to the old stone well at the center of Eldenmere. The fog was thickest here, drifting from the well's dark mouth like a foul breath. He raised his camera, his hands trembling, and peered through the lens. That's when a face appeared in the swirling mist. It was thin, long, and deathly gray. Its eyes were hollow and hungry. It was the shape of a man, but stretched too tall, too thin to be human. It was the Keeper. Its voice echoed directly in Caleb's mind, not his ears. "You do not belong to Eldenmere." Caleb stumbled back, dropping his camera. The fog rose higher, forming long, spectral arms, with fingers like smoke hiding claws of shadow. The voice came again, a promise and a threat. "But you will," Caleb ran. He sprinted through the narrow, twisting streets as the fog chased him, its cold tendrils wrapping around his ankles. Whispering voices filled the air, coming from all directions. "Stay, join us, live forever." Doors creaked open on either side of him. The villagers stepped into the street, their blank smiles illuminated by the faint moonlight. They began to chant softly, a low, hypnotic hum. Their eyes were empty. Their skin was too smooth, too perfect. They looked like preserved bodies, puppets on display. Caleb, desperate, saw the silhouette of the village church ahead, the only place with no fog inside. He burst through the doors, slamming them shut behind him. Inside, candles burned low, casting long, dancing shadows. He pushed deeper, searching for a place to hide, and found a back room. What he discovered there made his blood run cold. The room was filled with portraits, rows upon rows of them, hundreds. Each one showed a villager as they once looked real, human, alive. Their eyes held laughter, their faces showed wrinkles of joy and sorrow. But beneath every single portrait, a single word was carved into the frame: offered. In that horrifying moment, Caleb finally understood the truth. The villagers weren't alive, not anymore. They had offered themselves to the Keeper in exchange for an eternal existence. Their souls were bound to the fog, their bodies preserved like wax dolls, and their minds were emptied of everything except a mindless obedience. Death could not touch them, but neither could life. They were trapped, forever. Suddenly, the church doors slammed open. The villagers filed in, their dead eyes fixed on him, their smiles unchanging. The fog rolled in behind them, a living, hungry entity. In the doorway, the Keeper's shape grew, a towering silhouette with limbs that bent at wrong angles and a face like cracked stone. Its voice rumbled through the church, a sound like the wind dying. Eternal life requires eternal obedience. Caleb backed away, pressing himself against the far wall. "No," he whispered. "No, stay away from me." In a final, desperate act, he lifted his camera and snapped a photo. The flash was blinding. It struck the Keeper's face, and the creature recoiled with a shriek that rattled the very foundations of the church. The fog pulled back. The villagers hissed, a sound like breaking glass. The Keeper's voice screamed in his mind, "Leave this place." Caleb didn't need to be told twice. He ran out the back door, sprinted through the Fogels's forest, and never looked back. He finally stumbled back into civilization, half-frozen, delirious, and shaking uncontrollably. When the police went to investigate Caleb's story, they found nothing. Eldenmere was gone, not destroyed or burned down. It had simply vanished. The valley was completely empty. There were no buildings, no cobblestone streets, no footprints. It was as if the village had never existed at all. All that remained was a thin layer of fog that curled along the ground. But right in the very center of the empty valley, they found a single object, Caleb's camera. Inside was one final photograph. It wasn't of the villagers. It wasn't of the keeper. It was a photo of Caleb himself. He was standing among the villagers, smiling that same empty smile. A gray fog swirled around his body. His eyes were hollow. His skin was unnaturally smooth, his body lifeless. He had already become one of them. Eldenmere never dies, it only moves. And it is always looking for new villagers. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more tales from the shadows.